Hello everyone and welcome to today's Quick Learn. My name is Abby and I will be your host for this afternoon. Today we're going to be covering how to add text to a layout or a document. Now our Quick Learns are a lot shorter than our usual sessions. They're around 20 to 30 minutes long, which includes between 10 to 15 minutes demonstration, but it will have booked out 30 minutes in your calendar. And that's for if we have any questions outstanding at the end. Now I do have Tina and Michael on hand today to answer your questions, so do keep them coming throughout the session as well. Now we are going to start the session at 5 past, so if you want to go and grab yourself a cup of tea or a coffee before we start the session, feel free to do so. In the meantime, I'm just going to put myself on mute and I'll come back to you shortly. Just while waiting for others to join, I'm just going to cover brief housekeeping. So if you are new to joining us on webinars, so you might be a regular attendee, I just want to make you aware of how the webinar is going to work. So your microphone is going to be muted automatically during the session. If you do have any questions, please do pop them into the questions panel down the right hand side, and that you can press that, you can get that up, by pressing the option that looks like a little speech bubble with the question mark in the middle. That's going to open up the panel, and as you can see, as per my example, you've got the question bar at the bottom. Pop your question into there, hit the blue button that clicks say send, and that means that me, Michael, or Tina will be able to answer those questions for you on today's session. One more thing before I do move on is there will be no handout for the session, as it is going to be mainly demonstration. So we are, like I say, we are going to start the session at 5 past. So we've got another 2 minutes. So if, like I say, for those of you who just joined, if you want to go and grab yourself a coffee before we start, feel free to do so. I'm just going to pop myself back on mute and I'll come back to you at 5 past. Okay, so we'll get started with this session. So I want to say welcome to those who have just joined us today and welcome to today's quick learn. So here we're going to be covering how to add text to a document. So we did do a session yesterday on how to add a logo to a document. So this session is going to be pretty much the same, but it's just going to be adding text rather than an image. You may have attended yesterday's session, so you may be familiar with what I'm going to be showing you on today's session. If you have missed it or were unable to attend, then Michael is in the process of putting that recording on our recordings page, so do keep an eye out for that. So this is the agenda for today. So I'm going to introduce the session. I'm then going to go into, so we're going to be talking about benefits of adding text. So it could be, I am going to primarily focus on adding bank details to layouts today, but it could be, like I say, any sort of text you want to add to a layout. I will then demonstrate how to save a copy of an existing layout, change the name to suit your business, and finally how to add that text to the document. At the end of the demonstration, I will come back to my slides to summarise the session and talk about upcoming webinars. Now, please do keep your questions coming throughout the session, so either me, Tina, or Michael can pick these up for you. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what the benefits are to adding your bank details to your documents. So it might be invoices or your statements. So including bank details in Sage 50 invoices simplifies financial transactions and contributes to a smoother, more efficient accounting process. Provides clients with a clear, convenient way to make payments, and it will prompt faster payments, which will positively impacting your cash flow. So it fosters a more efficient communication. So it reduces the risk of errors. Customers have accurate account information readily available to them. And it streamlines the reconciliation process, so making it easier to match incoming payments with their corresponding invoices. Now, please note in version 29.0 and above, there is a layout with bank details included, but this does require bank details to be added into the software. And what shows on that invoice also depends what bank account you have selected when you've created that invoice within invoices and credits. But like I said at the start of the session, it could be any sort of text. So I know I've talked a lot about adding bank details, but it could be terms and conditions, opening times, changes to the business. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go straight into demonstration. So I'm just going to pop over to my software. Okay. So what we're going to do first is we're going to pop into invoices and credits. And you can see I've got an invoice here. And to make changes to a layout, it doesn't matter which invoice you select. You just need to be able to select an invoice from the list. So you have the print option here. So we go into print. You can see at the moment I've got one favorited in list. If we go into layouts, you can see all of the options that I have available to me. So I am going to pick the one that I have got currently in my favorites at the moment. But as you can see, the one below, if you have got version 29 installed, then you can see you have the discount with the bank details. So that, like I say, that exists, but you have to have your bank details in the software. So I am just going to look at this one today. So what we'll do now is we'll quickly preview it so you can see what it looks like before. So as you can see, it's pretty plain. We scroll at the very bottom. It's got some information in there. So we've got some boxes and other things. So what we're going to do is we're going to edit this one. So you can, from previewing it, you can click edit along the top, or if you're just in the list, you can right click and you can click edit here, or you've got edit along the top. Now you do have to pick one from the list to be able to edit to give you a starting point. So it's best to have a look at the ones that you want, that you think best suits your business to use as a starting point. So we're just going to click edit on here. And as you can see, it brings that layout in the report designer for me. So we can see the breakdown of what this layout is made up of. Now, first things first, what you need to be doing is you need to be changing the name of the layout so then you can make it more identifiable when you try to find it in the list. So to do that, you go to Report along the top and into Report Properties. So this is where you can change the name of the layout, and also as well you can change the description if needs be. So I'm just going to change mine here. So I'm just going to paste in what I've got. So I'm going to call mine AP Demo and Solutions Invoice with bank details. I am just going to leave the description as it is, and I'm going to click OK. So that's your first step. Next, what you're going to be doing is you're then going to be saving this as a copy. And the reason for this is because you cannot save over the top of a standard default layout that exists in the program. You do have to save it as another copy. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to File in the top left. And as you can see, that Save option is grayed out for that reason. So we're going to use the Save As option. It's already going to save it in the correct location for you. You just need to change the name of the file. So I am going to use that same name, so AMP Demo and Solutions with bank details. And I'm going to save that document. Now what you can do is once you find that document in the list, you can then also favorite that as well. So I've just closed that report designer down, and we're just going to find it in the list. So if we scroll down, I'll just refresh the list. So I'll just quickly go back in, sorry. So we'll just go to Print, back into Layouts, scroll down, and you can see that there. AP Demo Solutions, invoice with bank details. So if you save it, come out of it, and you don't see it in the list, just come out of it and go back in to Print to see it in the list. So I'm just going to favorite that as well. So you can see now it's got the gold star, and it'll now appear in my favorites when I come into Layouts. So what we're going to do is we're going to edit this one. So I'm just going to go to Edit along the top again. And now we can start making changes. So to add a text box, you've got the option here to add text. So you've got this. So if you click on it, it'll go orange. That means you've got that one selected. Alternatively, you can also go into Toolbox along the top. And you can add text option from there as well. So all I'm going to do is you can either click and it'll add a box like that, or you can drag it as well. So we can drag it as so. Now I'm going to copy and paste my bank details into here. So as you can see, you might want to add a bit of a description along the top. You just want to organize it. And if you want to put things on the next line, you just put your little cursor where you want it to go and press return on your keyboard, and it'll put it to the next line. So you might just want to include sort code, account number, reference. You might want to put a little bit of text above the top. You can also highlight it. If you want to change the font, so let's just go for Arial. You might want to make it a little bit bigger. You might also want it to be left aligned as well, so then you can have it there as well. So you can use these little squares to make the boxes bigger. If you hover over it, you can move it with your mouse using the left click. And also as well, if you want to be a bit more precise with the movement, you can also use the arrow keys on your keyboard to move it up and down, left and right. Once you're happy with what you've added to the layout, you want to see what it looks like. Make sure that it's the right size, where you want it to be. You can preview it, so you can either preview down the bottom here, or you can go to View along the top and then into Preview. And what that's going to do is it's going to show you what it's going to look like in the preview there. Again, you might not want it at the top, you might want to have it down the bottom. So if we just close out of that, so if we click close, when you're in preview, always make sure you click close here and not here. as that will close Report Designer down and you will lose any changes that you've made. So make sure you always click close along here. As well, if you wanted to move things around, you could delete parts. So maybe you want your details at the bottom. It might be a case of deleting the box, deleting this information here as well. So you could just drag a box around. That'll select all of those. Delete on your keyboard. And then you can drag this to the bottom as well if you wish it to be at the bottom. So you can move it around wherever you want it to be, left align it if you want it to be at there. Once you're happy with where you've put it, all you need to do is you can either click the save icon or you can do file and save as. File and save, sorry. Another thing you can do as well before you're happy with the changes, you can also print a copy, print it out on paper, see what it looks like, see if you're happy with it as well. So I'm just going to save that. And that's saved that document for me. So then if I close that down and I run this again, so I preview, I scroll to the bottom, you can see I've got my details at the bottom there. Let's do these steps again, but what we'll do is we'll look at it from a customer statement point of view. So if we go into customers, I can see there's a question come through from Donatella. How did you add the text box? So what I'm going to do is I am going to cover that again. So I'll show you again in these next steps. So we'll go into customers. And then we're going to go into statements. Again, I'm just going to use one that I've got in my favorites, but you can choose one from the layouts. And again, I'm going to edit. So now I've got my statement layout in Report Designer. So to add the text box, you've got the add text option here. And you can either just click and it'll put a little box in, or you can drag it across like so. Now, like I say, I copied and pasted before, but you can also free type into this box as well. So I'm just going to copy and paste my bank details again because I want my realize that they've got an outstanding and they want to pay. You want to make sure that they've got access to the bank details instead of having to dig out an old invoice to find those. So I'm just going to copy and paste this time on here. So I just want my details again on here. I'm just going to make this bigger so they can see that. I'm going to make it left aligned. Maybe I want my bank details in bold. Make the box a little bit bigger. I just want to change the text again as well. I'm just going to move that with my arrow keys. So then I've got my details on there. Tell you what, I did forget, as I mentioned before, don't forget to change your report properties as well. Again, you want to be renaming this just before I continue, before I forget. You want to make sure that you're changing the name. So again, I'm going to change this to AP Demo and Solutions. With bank details. Statement. Just before I forget that one. Before we continue again, I am going to file and save as well, just to be sure. It's very easy to forget these things when you're busy working. So And I click save on that one, just to make sure that I don't lose that point. So again, I've added bank details in there, and now I might want to add in some other text. So it might be opening times. So if we just create another text box, so it might be any issues with payments, please contact us within the hours below. So you can see, you can also type that in as well, to make that box a little bit bigger. And I'm going to copy and paste my opening times. So to edit the box, you just double click into the box. I'm just going to push enter, so I'm on the next line. And then I'm going to do Control and V on my keyboard, and that's going to paste those into the box for me. So put those on the next line as well. And I'm also going to left align this text. I'm just going to drag that about. It might be that you also as well want to, I'm going to take out any, just so it's a little bit less text. So what I might want to do as well is I might want to put a box around here, or I might want to make the text more bold. So if I make sure the box is selected, and then down the left here, you've got the option to edit the text. You can make this box a little bit bigger, this side panel a little bit bigger as well. You can choose your font, the size, whether it's bold, italics, underline, as well as the options along the top here. They also do the same. You might also want to put a border around the box as well to make it a bit more bold and stand out to your customers. If you choose change border, you might want to have a solid line. You might want to have some dashes. You want to change the color. I'm going to make mine red so that it does stand out. I might also want to make the lines a little bit thicker as well. To actually get these to show, you want to click the boxes around here. So that's going to show you what the box is going to look like. But you also make sure you want to have these selected when you click OK, because that's what applies the actual border to the box, to the text box. So we click OK. You can see now I have that dashed line around my text. So then if I click preview, again, I'm just going to go with the preview at the bottom this time. And as you can see, I've now got that dash box. If you look at it and you're like, actually, I don't like that anymore, you can go back to the designer. So again, you can either go through there or via close. You go back to change the border, and you just take off these options for preview and click OK, and it removes that border from the box for you. Again, you might want to move it around the page as well. So those are different things that you can do. You can change the type of font, change the size. If you want it bold, italics, underlined, overlined, the color, you might want to make the text red to make sure that they know when your details are, what your details are when you're open. So there's loads of different things that you can do, play around with the text. So once you're happy with what you've done, you just click the save option and then close the report designer down. And then we go and find that layout. So we'll just refresh that list. So we'll go back into statements, back into layouts. And we've got the AP demo solutions with bank details statement. So we'll just preview that. And now you can see I've got my sort code, and any issues, they know when we are open. So that is how you add text to a document. So the same steps can be applied for any document you want to edit. So it could be sales orders, purchase orders, invoices, credits, any document, you can add a text and you follow exactly the same steps. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to pop back to my slide to summarize the session. Just while I'm summarising the session, just a reminder, keep your questions coming. I can see we've had some come through there. That's keeping Tina and Michael busy. Again, if you're not sure how to ask a question, you just look for the little speech bubble with the question mark in the middle. That's going to open up the questions panel, and that's where you can pop your questions across to us. So to summarise the session, you're going to select a layout you wish to use and edit. You're first going to change the name by going to Report and then Report Properties. You then do File and then Save As and put the new file name in there. You're then going to make your relevant changes, so add a logo, add your text. And then you're going to save and close the Report Designer. And then you've got the option to add it to your favorites, which again is optional. But a lot of people do find that a lot easier than trying to look through the list for the relevant layout. Okay, so now I just want to cover some upcoming topics for webinars over the next couple of weeks. So tomorrow at 2 p.m, we've got improved bank feeds for 29.2. So that's how we demonstrate improvements and how to navigate the changes that we've made for 29.2, specifically for bank feeds. We've also got credit control options for customers. That's next week. So that's next Tuesday at 11 a.m. We also do have more improved bank feed sessions throughout September for 29.2. So if you can't make the one on Thursday, there are other sessions that you can register for. We do also have another quick learn next week. That's adding payment terms to invoices. We've got Get Paid Online with Opeo. That's formerly known as Sage Pay. We've also got importing customer records, cash flow option, company archive, and also another quick learn on adding email settings to invoices. Now, just before we move on, I just want to quickly show you how you can find those upcoming sessions and how you can find that recorded session that Michael will be uploading for us shortly. So I'm just going to open up the Help Center. So I'm just going to pop back to my software and I'll just show you how you can access it via your software. So on your home page, you should see a tile on the right-hand side here that says free webinars. There's a little button that says more info. Let's move this across. That's going to open up our registration page. So this is where you can register for upcoming sessions. But we've also got the option for view previous recordings. That's where you're going to find the yesterday's session for adding a logo and many, many other sessions as well. We've got a long list in there. I also just want to make sure as well, if there's any upcoming or any topics that you would like to see us cover that are on our upcoming or on our recordings page, then you can suggest a new topic to us. If you fill out this form, the form does get looked at as well for new suggestions for topics that we can cover in the future. Okay, I'm just going to pop back to my slides. So that does bring us to the end of today's session. Please feel free to stay around for the next couple of minutes or so. If you are waiting for an answer to a question or have any further questions to ask, if you've got what you needed and you want to leave the session, you will receive an email in around an hour or so with links to both our webinar schedule and today's recorded session for you to refer back to if needs be. Upon exiting the session, You will see a survey at the end. If you could please let us know any feedback regarding the session. If you accidentally close the session before filling out the feedback, a link will be provided on your follow-up email. What we're going to do now is I am just going to put myself on a brief mute so I can just see if there's any outstanding questions that need to be answered. I can see a question came in there from Maria. Will this show the bank details on the invoice for that customer only? So no, it will show it for all customers. That when you create that, use that layout. If you use that layout, it will show for all customers. Okay, so majority of the questions have been answered. So what I'll do is I'll wrap this session up. So I want to say thank you to Tina and Michael, who've been on hand today to answer your questions. And thank you to you all for your participation. Just a reminder, we've got plenty of sessions over the next couple of weeks. So don't be shy and get registered. So I want to say another thank you and take care.